everyone, this is the Canny Couple. My name is Julia, Aaron's behind the camera, and today we're giving you our second week of pantry meals. Today is Saturday, so this is the day I'm kind of lazy with cooking. But before we get started, please make sure you hit the like button, and we would really appreciate it if you subscribe. So today's Saturday. We do cook a little different in our house, but on Saturdays, this is a day I do tend to cook for us most of our meals. We did eat leftovers for lunch, and we pulled Pop-Tarts out of the pantry for breakfast because we were in a hurry. We were going to do some local yard sales, but for dinner, I want to keep it simple, keep it easy, and we're going to have some fish and fried potatoes and some sliced apples. So the sliced apples were a gift from Aaron's dad. He always brings, I think he brings it for the baby, but she can't eat a whole apple by herself. So I've got most everything started. I'm just going to add my potatoes here. They're washed, they're ready to go to my butter. Set that in the sink. And add some salt. And the potatoes would take the longest. These will actually be ready when everything else is ready. And I'm also going to add some seasoning. So I will tell you, seasoning for potatoes. I feel like people underestimate how much seasoning can really help your food. And you're going to notice with our food, we season it a lot. We do different seasonings. Seasonings you would not expect us to use on vegetables or anything like that. And I'm actually going to try this chicken seasoning. It's not one we've tried, but we've had a lot of success with different types. I will tell you our favorite seasoning for potatoes is Montreal steak seasoning. You can ask Aaron.
Yeah.
The best.
It's one of the best ever on
He didn't believe
potatoes.
me. He did not believe me when I told him it was one of the best. He's like, there's no way. This isn't going to taste good. So just going to add a little bit. And I'm going to go light. Normally I would go heavier, but I'm planning on giving the baby some of these. So we kind of go light till we see where her level is. Hey, yes, my skillets are very old. We're talking ancient. These are some of Aaron's very first skillets, and they will be getting replaced here soon. But for right now, it's what I have and what we're using. I'm planning on going to all enamel to cast iron. That I've done my research, and that seems to be the one that will do the best for us. It's the easiest to maintain. I like it. The only downfall I really have with it is it's heavier, but I'm okay with that. It's the give and take here. I don't want to cook with aluminum. I don't want to cook with nonstick. Cast iron itself could be a little bit more high maintenance. I really like the enameled. I've kind of been researching what to use. So these are started. We'll get those brown. Now we're going to start our fish. So fish, I like to cook it in a little bit of butter. I've got a few different ways we cook it. Sometimes I cook it in hot sauce. And this is flounder. We like flounder. We like tilapia. So I will tell you, with fish, we're a bit more careful. Aaron has had some allergies. He is allergic to salmon. He's had some issues with salmon before in the past, so we do have to be incredibly careful with what seafood we're eating. And I will feed the baby a little bit. This will be her first real fish test. We've been kind of careful with her because where Aaron is allergic, we don't want to. We wanted to wait till she could actually tell us something's wrong. Do you want to explain how you found out you're allergic to fish?
Yeah, just the I guess you can say scratchy throat tingling that I didn't used to get with salmon when I was younger. But as I've gotten older, I can definitely tell it there. But
you don't have that issue with tilapia. You don't have that issue with the flounder.
No.
Catfish or anything
Shrimp,
like that. None of that.
good with
But
that.
you could tell it with salmon.
I can tell it with the salmon.
Even we did the baby care things for Isabel for that reason, to kind of make sure we could slowly introduce her to salmon. And we also don't do a lot of fried food. I will say that. We're not huge into frying our fishes and things like that. We're not really fond of a lot of flour. There's like one recipe with fish I will use that I add like a fry to it. a little bit of a coating. We're very basic with our food. We really focus on flavor and taste versus, you know, adding a lot of other stuff to it. And it's also a lot easier long term. I will add a little bit of Redmond's real salt. I feel like it really amps up the flavor of everything. You see my potatoes are going to get brown. I can already tell they're getting nice and brown. Those are some good fried potatoes. And I'm going to teach you all my trick. Just not right now. It's going to be its own episode of how to make fried potatoes fast. Because fried potatoes take forever. Now you can cook these with onions, with peppers, with whatever you like. We just really like them like this. And what we'll do is I'll actually add a little hot sauce. I add hot sauce to mine. They're just so good. They're just so good. And the baby, well, I was going to show you what we're feeding her. So I'm going to feed her some potatoes. I'm going to let her try some fish. But we also have some saltine crackers with peanut butter and jelly. Some blueberries, we picked these, and some of the apple that we're having on our side. So we try to feed her as much of what we're having as we feed her what we're eating for the most part. Unless it's something we're concerned with, like heat, like if it's going to be really spicy, we'll kind of make an alternative, something similar that doesn't have that spice for her. But for the most part, she eats what we eat. So the blueberries she seems to be really liking. She has been eating them, so we're going to keep, you know, feeding her those. So I'm going to let this cook, and we will get back with you with the final result. So here we are. Dinner is ready. Erin's taste tester, and here is what it looks like. As you can see, it is a little white, but it's very nutritious. It's potatoes, apples, fish. I mean, it's just a little white. So.
Okay, so I put hot sauce, of course, on the potatoes like we talked about there. See what the...
Can you hold the plate up?
Mm-hmm.
Try the potatoes.
Potatoes are good. That chicken seasoning is good on them.
Is it?
Mm-hmm. It was really good. But I love these type of potatoes.
Oh, he does. They're his favorite.
That seasoning goes good on the fish. We were wondering about that with the fish, how good it would go. We hadn't tried that one before, but that is good as well. And of course, you know, apple's apple. We had some of these earlier, so I sort of know what it tastes like.
So it's a good dinner?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm always about the fried potatoes like this.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you for the next meal. Okay, so here is our big cook for this week's Three Rivers Challenge. So I don't know if I mentioned this in our earlier cooking earlier in this video, but we are taking part in the Three Rivers Pantry Challenge for June and really trying to eat from our working pantry as much as possible now that we actually have access to the food that we have put away. And it's a lot easier to cook when I have a stove and not cooking with just a crock pot. But we are taking part, but we are doing ours a bit different. Check out our short where you see our grocery budget, where we're spending $15 or less every week to keep stockpiling our pantry, because we do have a working pantry that we do pull from. We are not fully self-sufficient at this point. We hope to get there eventually, but there are going to be things we're going to have to buy, and we try to buy those when they're on sale, and also to get our few things that we need to have for the baby. But as you can see, I've kind of gotten started, and I'm going to be using all of this for this week's meal. And what we're having for lunch is we're going to have hamburger mac and cheese. I'm going to make this a little bit different. I'm going to kind of make it like a different kind of hamburger helper with a lot of flavor, a lot of punch, and just really amp that up so it's not just plain mac and cheese. We're also making an Italian chicken and rice. And this is... Aaron has a bit of an obsession here. He loves salad. He loves salad dressing. So we have lots of salad dressings. We're eventually going to get to the place where I'm going to be making most of them. But for right now, we're trying to use our stockpile that we have, because for us, it's not frugal to just throw them away. And this zesty Italian from Aldi's is one he really likes. I mean, and it does do really good. It does really well in pasta salads. And we're going to try it with this chicken recipe. But first thing we're going to do is I've got my chicken ready to go in the Instapot. I'm going to get that turned on and cooking. These are chicken bone-in legs and thighs. We got these for $3.50 for 5 pounds. I bought 2 10-pound bags. And I want this chicken to be cooked. So I'm going to do it manual, and I'm going to put it in for about 30 minutes. Just to make sure. I don't want to risk this not being cooked like at all. And there is quite a bit in there to get us through for the week. So there we go. My vent is closed. And that started. Now breakfast, we're doing something a little bit different. While we were in the middle of the house remodel, we ate a lot of bagels, and one of the bagels that Aaron really liked was a cinnamon raisin. Was that it? Cinnamon raisin. So we had this leftover bagel. We're kind of done with the bagels at this point, so I'm going to make something kind of like a bread pudding French toast sort of bagel, but it's going to be a little bit different. So we have this here, and I'm going to start adding our seasonings to this. And we're going to amp up the nutrition because we're not just having bread. This is breakfast. We're also going to use up some of these raisins that I have and I need to use. So I'm going to add some extra raisins in here. Just going to break those up and get them in there and throw a few more in here. And then I'm also going to put in 1 jar of apples. So these are apples we can from our trees, and I'm really trying to use those up. I'm trying to get through my stores because it looks like we are loaded with apples. It was one of the few things that wasn't bit for us. You can just see they're just so many apples on those trees. So I have this here, and I'm going to pop the lid, and we do use a butter knife. I know that's kind of old school. I'm sure a lot of little old ladies about had a heart attack when they saw me do that, but it's how I was raised. Let me get a skillet here because I want to save this liquid. I don't want to pour the liquid in here, but I do want to save it because I'm going to make apples for dinner. So I'm going to put them into the skillet because that has all that apple flavor. It's a light syrup, so per 4 cups of water, it is 1 cup of sugar. But we do a very light syrup on our apples or any fruit. I really use it for anything that we do. I'm going to give this a quick stir and make sure I've got everything. Oh, I've got nuts to go in here too. So added protein here. We're going to throw in these walnuts. And I don't spend a lot of time breaking up these things. I really just sort of throw them in there and let them do their thing. I don't have the time or the patience to spend a whole bunch of time chopping up nuts, chopping up everything. It's more of a how quick can I get this done? It's where it's edible and we can eat it and go. Do you hear the baby? She's wanting to fight a nap. So it is not from lack of trying. All right, so that is kind of mixed in, and now we're going to do some seasoning. So I'm going to use some nutmeg. It already has some cinnamon in it, so I'm not going to add any extra cinnamon here. I'm going to do some nutmeg. Just put that on there. I'm going to go a little heavy. We really like nutmeg. We really like that flavor. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some vanilla. So this is how we repurpose. This vanilla extract bottle was one that was buried in Aaron's spice cabinet. And I cleaned it up, and this is our own vanilla extract. This is actually a golden rum. Is that what it was?
Yes, golden rum with, I believe it was Mexican bourbon vanilla beans.
Yes, so very nice. There's an amazing smell to it. And I put a good splash of that in there because, again, you have to think we're making this to last us for breakfast for the week. It's not a, one and done sort of meal. It's going to last us for the entire week and we'll be finished. Now I'm going to use my milk, and this is some shelf stable milk I have that I need to use up. So this is silk almond milk. I got it on sale at our local Ollie's. I probably had a coupon, so it was less than $1. And I always like to have shelf-stable milk on hand. And I'm just going to pour this in here. Just take some. And that's just the almond that came out of the bowl. It's just fine. It's just where that milk was in there. I didn't shake it up good enough. And I'm just going to get it good and thoroughly soaked. And now, once I get this kind of mixed in, I'm going to make some scrambled egg mixture I'm putting here too. And then I'm going to let this soak in the refrigerator. So you can go ahead and put this in your pan. I have actually found it does a lot better if I just let it sit in the bowl. If I let it sit in the bowl, it seems to do quite a bit better than if I switch between them. So we got eggs on sale the other day. It was actually really cheap for us.
A few weeks ago.
Yeah, a few weeks ago. It was really cheap, so I bought as many as I could. We're hopeful that we'll eventually get our chicks. They are on order, so we will have our own eggs here soon. Hopefully by next year we will be producing our own eggs. We're a little bit worried. We're getting the American breast chicks. So we're real excited because of the type of bird they are. They're dual purpose. They're supposed to be great meat birds, but also great layers. So we're really excited, but it is taking a bit of time to get them here. And I'm gonna have to wash my hands really quick. Get that egg off of them. Then I'm just going to beat them really good with a fork. Now I am going to put some salt in here. I do like a little bit of salt, especially with the Redmond's real salt. I do find it adds quite a bit of flavor. It enhances your flavors very well. Then we're just going to pour that over. Salt, just a small amount there, not much at all, and get that good mix. And then this will go in the refrigerator for a little bit, and once it's sat up for a couple of hours, then I'll get it into the oven to bake probably for about an hour and a half. I try, especially since there's egg in here, I want to make sure it's really cooked and really done, but you can tell it's going to be like an amazing breakfast. I mean, you can smell it. It smells so good. Smell the cinnamon. And I feel like the bagels, where they're a thicker bread, is going to really hold up to this very well. I like to make these kinds of casseroles. This is my first time making it kind of sweet. Typically, I make them more savory with sausage and eggs and mushrooms and cheese. This is really the first really sweet one I have made. We don't tend to do these very sweet because we don't have like this much bagel left over. But I was trying to find a different way to eat them. All right, I'm gonna get this into the refrigerator and then we'll be right back and I will show you what we're doing next. Okay, so we have breakfast city. Now let's start on supper for the week. And like I said, we're making an Italian chicken. This is a recipe I saw, and I guess I need to tell you all, I don't really follow recipes exactly the way they're made because I don't eat a lot of the food.
She's picky.
I'm picky. So if you're a picky eater, this is the channel for you. So I'm going to start off with putting in some minced garlic here because we want to get that started. So we've got some minced garlic going in my Dutch oven, and I'm also have some mushrooms. Because we love mushrooms, we could eat mushrooms with every single meal. We actually plan to grow our own mushrooms here soon. And we can't wait for that because then we can have mushrooms with every single meal. Breakfast, dinner, doesn't really matter. I'm going to turn this on high to get it started. And I'm going to go ahead and start putting in my dressing. And I'm going to use this whole thing of dressing. And that seems like a lot, but I'm, again, making this for us to eat for several meals. It's not just a one meal dish for us, it's several meals. We're going to pour that in there. And this is the zesty Italian. You can use any Italian dressing you have. We're just doing a zesty Italian because it's what we have. It's the one that Aaron liked the most. And I have another bottle. I'll probably be making a pasta salad here in the upcoming weeks. I'm also going to put in some Italian dressing because
Italian seasoning.
it's Italian. Yeah, Italian seasoning. Sorry. Whoops. Italian seasoning because we're having Italian food. I mean, we have to. You can't help that. We have lots of seasonings, and you'll notice we use a lot of seasonings, and it is because I cannot keep Aaron away from the seasoning. He loves them. He's obsessed with having flavors and different flavors and unique flavors. Indian, Mediterranean, Greek, you name it, he wants to try it. He's very open to having different tastes, different flavors with his food, which is lovely because you don't really get bored. But it also means we have a lot of seasoning. Now, my hamburger is cooking as well, and I'm going to give it a really quick stir. Add a little bit of water to it to get it started with cooking. I know a lot of people don't do that. I really never had an issue with it. It's a quick hack if you need to cook some burger, ground it up pretty fast. But I want to add some seasoning. And
it was some frozen hamburger that we had.
For a little bit.
Yeah, had in our stockpile.
Yeah, we got it on sale. Sometimes our local grocery store. So if you follow like Southern Frugal Mama, she talks about Food City and how expensive Food City is. Well, unfortunately, Food City is one of our only 2 grocery store choices. Well, 3 if you go the other direction. So we go to Food City pretty often, and we really have to shop the sales for what we're getting. I'm doing a gourmet burger seasoning here. We really like this seasoning. It's one of our favorites for a hamburger. It's got a really nice flavor. And again, I'm gonna bump it up. We really wanna amp up the flavor. I'll probably end up adding more to my pasta as it cooks. It's got a lovely smell, and that hamburger will just get so nice and flavorful, and it's gonna really taste nice with the mac and cheese. Everything's starting to cook, everything's starting to simmer. This is kind of how we cook. I kind of go between the different things I'm making, and sometimes it can be a little hard to keep it straight, but because I cook such large meals at one time, it sort of works for us. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start getting my apples going, because they're going to take quite a while to cook the liquid down, and I want to cook in the sugar. I don't want to add more sugar. So I'm going to open these up.
That hamburger smells so good.
It does. It smells so good. That seasoning is one of the absolute best. And I try to keep lunch simple. I try to keep lunch 1 to 2 things at maximum, and if I can make it all in one, I'm the queen of one pot meals. I like to throw it all in one pot and be done. So, and that's going to be way too much liquid, so I'm going to have to drain some of this. So, Aaron will show you what that chicken or everything's looking like. It's all looking really good. And these won't take very long to cook. It's mostly, because they're mostly already cooked. Because we start them off, we're just really getting them in with a glaze. Because the baby loves these. I mean,
oh, yes.
She absolutely.
She can shovel those down.
Like, we found this out, like, not even the good ones. Like, she will eat them down. She really, really likes these. So I thought this would be a really nice, different touch for her. the Italian dressing smells good too. So now we're gonna add the next part to our dinner, our white pot here. And we're gonna add tomatoes. What we're making is really making a sauce. We're making a sauce we're gonna add the chicken to. I always do a sniff test because tomatoes are really one of the few things I've ever had really go bad. I've had a few like jams, and it's mostly been Boysen and
Logan.
And it's probably, I'm sure it was user error because I was very new to using them. So we have that on high. And I'm going to add the rest of our Italian dressing in here too. And then what Aaron is going to do is he'll have a salad with his. The baby and I will have this and carrots. And we're just going to let it cook. That's really where we are right now. We're just going to let this cook, make a wonderful sauce. The chicken is cooking right now. It's being pressurized and brought up to pressure. We're going to let everything kind of cook and simmer. And then we'll come back here in a few minutes and I'll show you where we are. Everything's been cooking for a little bit, and as you can see, my chicken is out of the Instapot. It looks really, really good right now. And I have all this chicken broth, so I actually added some extra water in there. You can tell I have my rice in here. And I left it in there so that my rice can actually cook inside that chicken broth and get all that nutritional value as well. So my rice is ready to go, but I'm going to do a few more things before I seal it up. So I'm making Italian chicken and rice. Rice isn't typically what you would have put with Italian food, so I'm very interested to see how this works. And I have to tell you, we tried the sauce and it is fantastic. I did not know how good tomatoes would be with Italian dressing, but it's actually very good. You can ask Aaron, he tried too. So we're going to put a little bit of Redmond's real salt, and I'm also going to do some Italian seasoning. And I'm going to cook quite a bit in here. And you can ask Aaron. I always try to sneak in a vegetable somewhere, everywhere, in everything we eat. However I can. Like, I try to get as much into this meal as possible, however I could do it. So I'm actually going to put corn in my rice. And I feel like corn is such a versatile vegetable because it really can go with anything. You can put it anywhere. It tastes good. It goes good with food. For us, it's a really big stockpile of food we have. And I've rinsed this off and washed it and everything. And it'll cook with my rice. And I've done this many times. I've cooked my corn with my rice. It does just fine before anybody freaks out on me. I mean, I do this, you can ask me, I do this all the time.
Yeah.
In Mexican, you can about bet there's going to be corn with my rice. So I'm going to stir that up. And then I'm just going to put my lid on. Make sure I have it on vent. And it won't take it as long to get to heat because we're really close to it. I'm trying to be careful because before I had cabinets, and now I'm trying to make sure I don't mess up my cabinets. And I'm going to put it on the rice setting. But I want to, and I'm just going to let it do its thing. So, lunch. As you can see, my mac and cheese. I've got a little bit of pasta water in here. And here's our hamburger meat. I'm going to stir that in there. And you're like, Julia, what's your vegetable here? There's not one in this one. I'm sorry. I do have some fruit for Aaron and the baby that I've washed, and it is ready to go. But I could not figure out what vegetable I could really eat with this. What would taste good with the cheese and the pasta and the gourmet burger seasoning, because I knew the gourmet burger seasoning it'd be amazing with this. And Aaron can tell you the house smells so good.
Yes, definitely. As you did notice, we had to switch pans on the apples.
Well, and they're cooking, and they're getting nice and gooey, and it's a little hot. I'm not used to this type of an oven.
Stove.
Yes, stove. It's been a long time since I've had one like that. Stove top, cooktop, and I'm going to clean that mess up, and we will Be right back. Let's try it again. The messes we make in the kitchen. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to learn how to do this, and we are trying to learn how to do this so you're not spending an hour and a half to figure out what we're having for dinner. So we are learning. Just be patient with us. Be patient with me as I try to figure out the best way to teach you all how to make good food and good food easy. It doesn't seem very easy, but I promise you, this is about as easy as you can get if you look at other people out there. That one looks, I mean, it's okay. I've had that happen before. And these were in date. And I do keep these on hand, and I like to have these on hand because there was 2 different types. Because if I need something fast, if we have a family dinner that we have to go to, and I need to cook something really, really quickly, these tend to work out really well. And Aaron's light went out, so if something looked weird. And this looks really good. It looks like a very fancy hamburger helper. But I'm going to add, you can over season food. But it's hard to over season food if you have a palate that likes a lot of flavor. Understand, I live in the South, we are Southern, but a lot of our food is considered good food. It's very bland food. You will see we don't do a lot of traditional Southern cooking, and if we do,
It's got flavor.
It's got flavor. It's got a different twist. I can't serve Aaron plain chicken and dumplings.
Ugh.
I can't. He'll divorce me. That's calls for divorce in our family. All right, and then this is our tomato sauce, and I'm telling you, I am.
That smells really good.
It does. Yeah, I am pleasantly surprised with how good this stuff smells. And you can see how pretty that is. Let me turn this light on and kind of get an idea of what we're doing here. And you see I have some carrots on the stove too. We'll put that lid back on top. Some carrots on the stove, and what we're going to do with those, typically I would make them sweet, but I don't want to make sweet carrots because we're going to have the apples. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to do a Mediterranean grill seasoning on them. Oh, that one smells really good. And this one I'll go a little light. I really feel people underutilize spices and think that just because it says it's for meat, you can't use it on vegetables. You can use anything on anything. You are not limited to salt and pepper and garlic. You're really not. So I would say be adventurous, be willing to taste different things, try different things, and really just give it a shot. So I'm letting my chicken cool down, and while I'm doing that, I'm going to clean up my mess here a bit. We are actually going to get started on dessert. So I'm going to make a dessert for you all. And let me tell you something. If you are a chocolate lover, you've never had a dessert quite like you're a chocolate peanut butter lover, this is your treat.
If you like Reese's, this is
100
something,
times better.
yes, that you will really enjoy.
And I will tell you, I make the best peanut butter balls you've ever had. It's what won me Aaron. He decided at that point I was the girl for him, no matter what. Okay, let me get everything together and we'll be right back and I'll show you how to make this dessert. All right, let's make this dessert. So I love peanut butter. I'm going to tell you now, peanut butter is the thing that Aaron did not realize we would go through as much peanut butter as we do.
I didn't know we had to own part stock in a company.
I do eat a lot of peanut butter, and I enjoy peanut butter, and the baby does too, so that's nice. And I'm going to change this recipe up. I change it up every once in a while, and I can't give you like an amount because this is texture based. Same thing with my peanut butter balls. It's all based on the texture. And I'm going to turn my apples down. I don't want them to stick. Everything's kind of cooking on medium. So you want graham cracker crumbs, and sometimes I change this up. Sometimes I'll use like a walnut flour or ground peanuts, something like that, depending on what, what we're doing. But graham cracker crumbs is a go-to. And I have those on hand, easy to get to. We got them on sale, and I'm just gonna pour some in here, just a little bit to get me started. And powdered sugar. With the remodel, they've had the doors open, so we've got more bugs in the house than what we're used to using. And I'll probably have to add some more as we go, but I do go pretty heavy with peanut butter. Now I have another little bowl here. This is the bowl I'm going to use to heat my topping. Because I'm not dipping these individually, I'm just going to put them in a pan and pour it over top, just let it cut it. What I'm hoping to do, typically if I use chocolate chips, it gets very tough to cut and can be kind of tough to chew. I'm hoping that by adding some peanut butter, not only is it going to amp up the flavor, it's also going to make it a little bit easier to cut later on. So my chocolate chips are melted a little bit in the bag from the heat in the kitchen. And get as many of those out as we can, but I need to use up my chocolate chips. I've got a good stockpile of them right now, so I'm really trying to use this up. So I'm going to put a good 2 heaping spoonfuls. I like peanut butter.
It's 3.
One of them was bigger than the other. I'm going to set this on my stove right here towards the back. My stove is hot. And my stove's a little dirty from everything, but my stove is hot, and what that's going to do is it's going to help start to melt that. Use what you got. Since the stove's hot, I don't have to put it in the microwave. Now I'm just going to add a lot of peanut butter in here. And a lot of people might say, well, I don't have that. I'm sorry, we have enough peanut butter that this is not going to hurt my stockpile of peanut butter. Yeah, we go through a lot of peanut butter. Now I'm just going to mix this up, and eventually it's going to get to the point where I'm going to have to do it with my hands. And you can add a little bit of butter in here too. I don't really feel like you need it as much because peanut butter is oil based. Now if I'm making peanut butter balls, I will use butter, but for this one I try not to use the butter if I can help it. We're just going to mix it in. We're just going to try to get to a nice, good consistency, a good texture. And I can't wait for the baby to try this because I know she liked the peanut butter balls, so I know she's going to like this one too. You can tell like right about in here is what you're looking for, just a nice, good texture. And I'm going to have to add more peanut butter. We'll see. Just mixing. And I feel like a lot of people eat peanut butter, but I feel like it's, again, we really focus on a couple of ingredients and try to make them and invent them in different ways. This is something that's a very easy dessert. It takes hardly any time to make and hardly any time to set up, and it's just a fantastic dessert. And I make it a couple times. I really probably make it once a month when,
normal times, yes.
Yeah, normal times. So now it's time for me to get my hand in. My hands are clean before anybody starts to yell at me. And I only want to do one hand because if I need to add more stuff to it, Aaron is typically my, hey, add something here, and I'm going to need more powdered sugar. I can tell you just by feeling it, it needs some more powdered sugar. And I've not tried this with other sugars. That's something where I've not really tried. I would like to try it with pure monk fruit sugar and see how that tastes since it takes so little. So here's like the perfect consistency. When you can get to that, where it's kind of soft and kind of pliable, but it'll kind of hold its shape, that's when you know you've got like the perfect consistency. That matters more than what you're putting into it.
Yes.
It's all about the consistency. And when I teach you all how to make peanut butter balls, I'm going to repeat that. I can tell you exactly what I'm putting into it, but it's not going to matter. Depends on your peanut butter, depends on your graham cracker crumbs, depends on your powdered sugar. It depends on all that stuff. If you're using butter, it depends on your butter. Some butters are don't do as well as others. It's all consistency based. And that is just right. Like, I mean, that's perfect. I couldn't have gotten that any better. And for peanut butter balls, I actually do a huge, like, massive, bigger than the metal bowl you saw for breakfast.
Yes, yeah. When she makes those, she says she's only making them once that fall, so I try to make sure we have enough to last me from before Thanksgiving till into January.
And he knows I will not make any more. He said it's one of the first things I have to teach the baby how to make. See, my chocolate's melting. My stovetop's warm enough that it's just kind of doing its own thing. And you can grease your pan. You don't have to. You really do not. And I really just use my hand and get it in there. It works just as well as anything else. You just want to flatten it out. Normally by this time, Aaron would be trying it. Like, I'd be having trouble keeping him out of the bowl. He says he doesn't like peanut butter, but he will eat these without the chocolate on them. Won't you? He's
Yes.
being quiet. I told everybody his dark secret. All right, that's it. We're gonna wait for the chocolate, and we will start peeling this chicken, get into our soup, and we'll be back here in just a few minutes. Hi everyone, we're back, and as you can see, my chicken, and I've started adding my rice in here. So you're gonna see some little black pieces of rice, black pieces of rice. That is not bugs. That is a rice mixture we had. It was purple, black, and red. The baby's fussing. So it does look a little purple, and you'll see its little black specks, but it's okay. It's that rice blend we had. I was a little short on white rice, so I had to use something else to kind of make sure we had enough. This rice looks so good. It smells amazing where it cooked in that chicken broth. So it's gonna be so good for us. But the chicken's in here. I pulled it apart. I actually got quite a bit off of it. You can see this is my bones that I had left over. Pulled off everything, and I have the chicken skins in the oven right now with a little bit of Italian seasoning, and I'll make that like crispy fat to go on top of our servings tonight, which is really nice to have. I started doing that. It's the only way I can get Aaron to eat any fat at all. And I think I have too much rice, so I'll actually end up putting some of this away once I feel like we get to a certain point. My carrots are cooking and everything else is done. I added some nutmeg and some vanilla to the apples. So here in just a few minutes, we'll switch places and Aaron's going to taste test for you. I will show you my chocolate here. It's almost melted. It is melted enough. I can go ahead and get that done. Here, show you what that looks like when it's finished. Have a big counter space. I'm not quite sure what to do with it yet. Like, I'm not used to having this much room. You can ask Aaron. It's different for me. I probably could have gone by with half the chocolate, but I'm trying to use what I have. So I have a really big stockpile of chocolate right now. When chocolate chips were kind of hard to find, I tend to make sure if there's one thing we have in the house, it's going to be chocolate of some form, some fashion, some kind. It is a bit of a vice for me. Looks so good. And this will go in the refrigerator and it will just sit until it's done, and we'll have it for dessert. And I don't have to taste test this for you. Aaron probably will, but I promise you it's one of the best
I
desserts.
don't get to taste test this?
You cannot right now. It's not going to be set up. Lordy sakes. My baby. Come here.
Oh.
How's the stuff tasting in it, the peanut butter?
Good.
It's good?
Yeah.
Did it add something to it?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so going to put that in the refrigerator, let it set up, and when we come back, Aaron will taste test everything. At breakfast, we'll taste test in the morning. It is cooking, but I think it would be better to taste test it in the morning so you all can get more of a real idea of how we do weekday mornings when we're busy, and you can just kind of get a better idea of what we do. So Aaron is being Mr. Taste Tester here, and this is dinner. And
I thought I wasn't getting carrots.
you're getting carrots.
No, so salad is what I'm having with mine because we got fresh lettuce out of the garden.
Yeah, it's already cleaned and
Right.
everything.
Carrots good. Okay, let's see this. Oh wow.
That new go-to?
That's very good. That's got so much flavor to it. I like that.
You didn't try the apples?
I was gonna try them last.
Okay.
Try lunch next. Reminds me of a
Really good hamburger helper.
yeah, really good hamburger helper. That's good. Those apples are really good.
They kind of caramelized on the bottom. Which favorite?
The
Italian?
Italian meal, yeah.
Oh, really? I didn't know about this one, so I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, that tastes really good. It's I can't really explain it. It's like you're eating maybe our chicken bog with like tomatoes and Italian flavor to it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, we will be back with breakfast tomorrow. Good morning, everybody. We're back with breakfast for this week, and Aaron's going to show you what that looks like. And this was the bread pudding that we made with the bagels and apples and raisins. And Aaron's going to test this out and see what it tastes like.
Very sweet.
Even though we didn't add sugar?
Even though we didn't add sugar, you get the cinnamon and the raisin, and I got a big piece of walnut, of course. But it's really good. Different from the French toast one where we do savory. This one's on the sweeter side.
Okay. Do you like it?
It's pretty good. I don't know if it'd be cost effective enough to buy the cinnamon rolls, just specifically for this, though.
Yeah, no, this probably will not go in the rotation.
Right. And coffee, of course, which is like a staple here. We're trying our homemade creamers out now to stop from having to buy creamers.
Yeah, but we're making ourselves. So that's what we're having this week. If you are having something interesting or you would have done something different, please leave that down in the comments below. And as always, thank you for joining us on the Canny Couple, where we work hard, live simple, and enjoy life. Have a wonderful day.